Hey, good morning. This is a review or reflection on lesson 173 in A Course in Miracles. Before I forget what it says, now I'm back at a computer in my studio, back to work, and so I can actually read the lessons on a different screen to remember exactly what the titles are because I've been messing them up. Lesson 173 is a review of two prior lessons, the first one being 155. I will step back and let him lead the way. Lesson 156, I walk with God in perfect holiness. And then the overarching, again, statement for all of these reviews is God is but love, and therefore so am I. And I will step back and let him lead the way, and I walk with God in perfect holiness. And so then it's like, well, what is perfect holiness? And what is the way? You kind of have to, for ourselves, define what those things are. I'm trying to get comfortable. I've been gone for 2.5 weeks and came in this morning to gotta get everything situated for like a full day of clients, which I'm grateful for. I just hope my body can hold up after not doing any body work for 2.5 weeks. I gave one craniosacral session and that's it, but that doesn't use muscles, not very many. So, ooh, it's a piece of fuzz. What these lessons mean to me, it's about maybe I'm in this trust phase and just sort of going with the flow phase of not thinking too far ahead, which is my nature, to sort of like account for everything and plan ahead to a point, but leave room for spontaneity and change of plans, because I always love to change my mind. But I do find myself in my head a lot in terms of like, have I thought of everything? Is everything being done in a logical order? Am I being efficient? And I think, man, that's my nature to some point, like throughout my life, but also I was a project manager for years. So it's just one of those habits. So the last couple weeks of being gone, what I've noticed is I'm not doing that. Sometimes I'm like, oh, maybe I need a little bit of it. And then I know what I'm noticing is when I do slip into that way of thinking, I notice it. It's very apparent to me. Whereas before it was just the water I swam in, like a fish doesn't know it's in water. And now I feel like I'm a fish out of water, but very comfortably. So that's not a good analogy. It just feels good to be like not getting those little body sensations that say, oh, you have stuff to take care of. What is it? I don't know. There's something not right here. And it's nice to not have that feeling lately. And maybe it just comes from like just like getting out into nature, away from just knowing that I had blocked off time to not need to actually worry about anything, or be efficient rather with things, not worry, but like take care of things in a logical way or an orderly way or an efficient way. So these lessons to me mean getting like trusting that like when you're present, that is to me the way, and nothing bad's gonna happen. There's no problem here when we don't have to account for every little thing, because it's like following God means just following that, just being present and one foot in front of the next. It doesn't make sense. 1 foot in front of the next one. Wouldn't it be 1 foot in front of the last one? So 1 foot in front of the other, that works. But letting God lead the way, well, like what is God to you? What is the way? What is letting? to me, it's just deep trust that no matter what, I'm going to be able to respond accordingly each step of the path that I'm on. And I don't have to worry about what's coming ahead because I'm following that deep intuition, which is my voice of God. So, and that comes with like a deep presence, which means I was thinking about the word grounded again, because people are like, oh, you got to ground yourself. You got to ground. Well, it means so many different things to different people. And for me, it means what I'm just, everything, I feel like I'm just like stripping things away, letting go. I'm in a very much a stripping away phase, I think. Like, just strip it down, bare bones it. And grounded just means to me being present. So that, because in the head, it's all air, flighty energy, right? Thoughts are just air. They're just nothing. They're nothing. Getting grounded is like connecting to the earth with our body in the present moment. This is, boom, I'm here. I have arrived. I'm not away with my thoughts, you know. So that's all that grounded means to me. And maybe that's what it's always meant to everybody. And I'm the one that's been like, what's it mean? I gotta figure it out for myself. And to me, it doesn't mean, and this is another thing I've been thinking about, and it kind of pertains to the lesson about walking in, like following and just walking in perfect holiness, which to me, holiness is like, what is holy? It's like, what do you see as sacred? And to me, it's like everything. When you see the sacredness in everything, that's like walking in perfect holiness. Like everything, every person, everything is can be seen as a sacred thing and experience of that thing. Like it coming into like deep reverence for all that is. So that just, I keep thinking about, what was I thinking about? Oh my God, I just sidetracked myself down a path. What was I going to say? Because when I say, oh, I've been thinking about this a lot, well, I've been thinking about a lot of things a lot, but not in the way of like the mind thinky way, like, I got to figure stuff out, but more like contemplation. So that's what I mean by thinking. It's like contemplating. It's like basically meditating on different concepts, ideas, feelings. And oh, I was thinking about like rituals, and that goes back to grounding. And in that, in some way, the sidetrack I went on about sacredness and holiness, and this idea of like, with all these spiritual practices, and even in my work as a Reiki practitioner, which I learned like these things that didn't resonate with me necessarily about the symbols. Like, what is the, like, what it, like certain things just didn't resonate with me. And I'm like, maybe it'll come, and maybe it still will. But I've really come back to it time and again, checking in and saying, does it resonate? Am I doing it just because I was taught that? And I'm like, again, I'm in this phase where I'm just stripping things away that do not resonate with me. And it allows more space for like opening up. Apparently that's happening a lot. And for things that do resonate with me, like with my true nature. All of our true natures are different. Underneath it all, we have like a true nature, but you know what I mean? So getting rid of, I'm not just gonna do stuff that doesn't mean something to me, like resonate in some way, like, feel right in my body. So I've been stripping away just like practices that don't mean anything to me. And so I think about the idea of like, people say, well, if you practice this type of energy work, it has to look like this. And if you practice this other modality, it has to look like this. And certain things are grounded in scientific research and effectiveness and all that, and I really appreciate that. And then other things where there's no real research behind it, Meaning, I don't think everything has to be based in our Western scientific lens. I'm just saying, like, if, if that's what you base things in, as far as like, oh, like there's a consistency to the outcomes. Well, we only know a lot of that with energy work by our experience. It's all experiential and anecdotal, and well, maybe some case studies. And so I think about, well, for some people, this particular series of things, steps in their process, seems to work for them consistently. And so over the past couple of years, I've been thinking, well, what seems to work for my clients with me, with the way I practice consistently? And then I'm stripping everything away that is not that. You know what I mean? Because the things that I see and affect what, and I feel that, vibration resonates, then I'm keeping that until it no longer resonates. So I think about, well, what does this grounded mean? Some people think you have to visualize something, maybe light some incense, like, But what I think it means is whatever works for you consistently to bring you into the present moment, that's what grounding is. And so when I talk to my clients, I used to say some stuff that I learned in my Reiki, from my Reiki teacher, and some of it just didn't resonate with people or myself. It was just one of those things you learn and you repeat because, oh, I learned a practice. I will honor that lineage's practice by doing the things. And now it's like, but it doesn't feel right, and therefore what am I infusing into this situation but inauthenticity? So that's what it seems to come down to, is like walking this back to the lesson, full circle. It's walking in authenticity, and that's our God, that's our following of God, is like, what's the most authentic way I can walk along this path back home to myself, where God lives within. That's what I got today. That's what feels right to me. And then, this whole letting go, stripping away, it feels liberating, and I don't even realize how it's happening other than non-attachment. And that's not a one and done. It's like a gradual thing. Very slow, very slow. But something about the last few weeks of being away has really felt like, whoa, different than other times I've been away for even longer. It's something definitely shifted in a more noticeable way. I'm hoping it stabilizes and just feels this way, like forever. Forever is such a weird word, but like stabilizes. And it's like this idea of, how did I hear it put, like, kind of like, let yourself become empty so that you can feel. Oh, I read this in a book I was reading. Yeah, while I was camping. Sometime in the last 2 weeks, I read a couple books. So one of them was this idea, like, maybe this is part of it, part of the practice that's led me to this place of like trying to stabilize this feeling of, okay, let yourself become empty in all the ways, even like get hungry, then eat. I feel like a lot of times me personally, I'm like, I have to plan ahead, because where will my breaks be so that I have enough time to eat, to like keep fueled for my energetic levels, blah, 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 blah. Some of that's smart. Some of it means I lead to like eating when I don't need to be eating, when my body's like, no, stop, it's enough, So that I've been trying to practice, just like becoming empty, like emptying the mind and then see where does it want to go. What does it want to think about? What does it want to contemplate? Emptying everything. Getting, like, emptying my energy. Sleeping, not thinking, oh, I got to go to bed now because I got to get so many hours, blah, blah, blah. Just become empty. Slow down when you feel like slowing down. Sleep when you want to sleep. Eat when you know. So it's like this idea of that emptiness. It feels really good. Obviously, you don't want to starve yourself or like deplete yourself energetically, but you know what I mean? Get to a comfortable, like, oh, it feels different. You know, it's like we know when we feel it, and then respond appropriately in the moment. And I think that's just part of the same practice of other things I've been doing, like just being able to trust the body's innate wisdom. It knows when to get hungry. It knows that that's a cue to say eat. It knows when to like nod you out, like, oh, time to sleep. You know, it's so simple. And maybe that was one of the big shifts, is like being out in nature and camping every night, and like waking. I didn't set an alarm, and yet it just kind of woke up when it felt right to wake up. And obviously in daily life we kind of need alarms for a lot of us who have a schedule, and we need to go to bed early if we have a schedule. But for the most part, just existed. And like I was saying in other videos, my favorite thing was just putzing around camp, being like, I feel like doing this now, I feel like doing that now. And nothing was in a logical order, like planned ahead, like, oh, I better do this, then this, then this. And it just felt good to just kind of like do the things. And so when I got here this morning, back into work mode, I just sort of did whatever felt good, like cleaning, getting the studio ready, all the things. And I was like, okay. And then I had plenty of time to even sit down and do this. So I'm just rambling, but that's kind of the phase I'm in, and it all has to do with this lesson of like just following whatever you take God to be. To me, it's the deep trust that everything is exactly as it should be because it was created. It exists this way. And I don't have to think too far ahead and attach to ideas of how things should look, because that's really, again, one of the roots of suffering is attachment to shoulds. And so that's still something I'm trying to strip away in every part of life. I have a lot of work to do still. I think for my clients, since I'm here in the studio, that's challenging in some ways, because they look to me, some of them, not everyone, looks to say like, well, how long till I get better? How long till I feel better? How long, like wanting to know, is this all what we're doing together? Is it going to amount to something, to me feeling better? Now each session, luckily they feel better, but what's the long run? Like, it's like projecting far out into the future, and that's really tricky because everybody's body is different. What they're doing in between treatments, who knows? Like, there's too many factors. And I fall back on something a teacher said to me, my trauma healing teacher. She was like, the main thing, they did like a mass research thing and survey about people who've been in the field a long time, and they're like, what's the number one thing you can tell people that's the most important about your practice, like to bring to your practice? Not modalities, not like steps, not process, but like the number one thing that most people said was like hopefulness and well-being, like to hold that for people, because so much of what gets people ill and unwell is hopelessness and a sense of things won't be well. They won't be well. They don't have a sense of well-being. And so it's like our job as this in this type of work is to hold that for people, hold the hopefulness. And luckily I do. I feel like that's fundamental. I feel like the stripping away, another full circle moment, is like, do you feel like you're fundamentally whole? Or do you feel like as a human we're fundamentally unwhole? Do you feel like you need to add stuff to yourself to make you better? Or do you feel like you need to strip stuff away to make you better? To make you more well? For me, if I just stop doing all the crap that keeps me unwell, my body will be like, thank you. And now I will do all the things to keep you running smoothly, right? Stop eating these things, stop being idle, like move your body, like stripping away. But if you feel like you're fundamentally unwhole, then you might be in the mindset, I heard, this is not my idea, somebody else said this, that you have to add stuff to yourself. Like, oh, I need to take this pill. Oh, I need to adopt this practice. Not that all practices are wrong. You know what I mean? Nothing's wrong. But oh, I need this exercise equipment. Oh, I need this clothing. Oh, I need this moisturizing routine. Whatever it is. I see what time it is. Oh, I better go. My client will be here. So anyway, I think all these things are related, at least in my mind, about the hopefulness being something for people if they can't find it in themselves. And part of that for me is the stripping away of everything that's not helping, that might actually be getting in the way, both of myself in my own wellness, because I can't really have hopefulness for other people if I don't have it for myself, theoretically. So anyway, I'll stop rambling because I go anyway, but this lesson, just a lot of different things I've been thinking about or contemplating seem related to it. So I thought I would just put them in there. Yeah, another thing, I stripped away my hair. I guess that's relevant, because I usually have a short haircut, but over the last year and a half, I think since I got back from Costa Rica, I just let it grow out. And something like being away, I was like, it was just like, didn't feel me, like me. And so I got home and immediately I was like, hi, honey, like, connect with my husband again. And then like got the clippers out. And I've gradually been cutting it off for the last day and a half, little by little, just seeing like, nope, all off. And then I hugged somebody and we bashed heads too hard and my earring popped out, the circular one. And I was like, okay. And then I took all my earrings out. I'm just like stripping everything away. And then maybe I'll feel like if anything needs to be added back, I'll add it back. But yeah, so it's very liberating. It just feels like the more I just let go, just let go. So I'm trying. Okay, bye.